I'll be showing you how to cut and sew this beautiful Ankara Bubu step by step. This style is simple, elegant, and perfect for beginners and everyone who loves comfortable African fashion. If you enjoy sewing tutorials and Ankara styles, make sure you like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe so that YouTube will notify you when next I upload a sewing tutorial on this channel. The basic measurement that you need to measure on whether you want to cut and sew this Ankara Bubu for are the full length, the bust, the waist, the hip, the shoulder, the armhole. You will also be needing the hip length in this case. So I use this Ankara print for mine, and we all know that the longest length for Ankara print is around 46. Sometimes it's even 44 if it's a rubber Ankara or a medium cotton Ankara. But for a full 100% cotton Ankara like this, the length is no longer than 46. And the length of this bubu, person's full length is 60. So in a case like this, you have to fold your Ankara the other way, not the length way. You fold it the hard way, and what you measure is the person's full length plus like 2 inches allowance that you use to fold it down or to turn it down if you want it to be fully lined. So I proceeded to measuring a full length, which is 60. Then I added 2 inches allowance. You can see the direction in which I'm measuring my fabric. So you're going to be measuring this twice. One will be for the front and the other one will be for the back. So the full length plus allowance at the down, you measure it twice. One is for the front, the other one is for the back. Then you will share it into two after measuring twice, and you fold it the way I just folded it, leaving zipper allowance of 1.5 inch at the back. The next is to divide the shoulder by 2 and mark it. And if you check, in the case of this dress, there's no joining on the armhole. The sleeve is not joined on the armhole, it's cut together with the shoulder. So you will not be following the actual shoulder of the person. You're going to use shoulder from like middle neckline to, I mean, center back to the full length of the sleeve, which was what I did. This person's own is 24, so I just used 24. Together on both sides is 28, but for one side is 24. And you remember that this fabric is already on fold of 2, so I had to measure 24, which is coincidentally everything I have on this fabric. The next is to mark out the neckline. They are both round neck for the front and back. I used neck width of 8, on fold of 2 I marked 4, and neck depth of 1.5 at the back, 4.5 at the front. And like I said, they are both round neck, so I marked the round neck. The next thing to do is to mark out your hip line. Now, on a good day, you're not supposed to measure hip line on your client. Most times, people don't measure hip line on their client, but you can figure it out by from the shoulder line, you're going to be dividing the armhole by 2. You mark that. Then the distance between the armhole and where the bust is 2.5 inch. So from the armhole, you measure 2.5 inch downward. Distance between the bust and the waistline is 5 inches. So from that 2.5 inch, you measure 5 inches downward. The distance between the waistline and where the hip starts is 8 or 9, depending on the person's height. So in this case, I'm using 8. So from the waistline, you measure 8 inches downward, and that is the exact place that is the hip line. That is how to figure out hip line when your fabric is on fold like this. So from that hip line, I still had to go downward with 3 inches, and that was where I divided the hip by 4. I added sewing allowance and ease allowance. Sewing allowance is 1.5 inch, ease allowance is 1.5 inch. Ease because this dress is not fitted, and then I marked that and I cropped out the sleeve coming from the shoulder line to that hip plus my allowance. Now, for the lower part of this dress, I deducted what I have, the hip plus the allowance. What I have there, I measured it and I deducted 4 inches from it, and I divided it by 4 and marked on the down. You know, the down is not really pencil, it's just a straight cut, so that's why I didn't deduct much from the hip. Then I connected all these points together and I proceeded to cutting out my boo. I cut out the neckline, I cut out the side. The next is to mark out the black part that is on the neckline to the hip length. So what I did was to keep the back panel aside, and I proceeded to working on the front panel from the shoulder, from where the neckline stops. I measured 2 inches forward, and from the hip line, I connected it to that 2 inches on the shoulder that I've marked. The next is to cut out the lining. I'm using this cotton lining, and this cotton lining, if you know it, also comes in length 44 or 45. Unlike the rubber lining that comes in length 60, this one comes in length 44, 45. That means I have to fold it the exact way I folded the Ankara. The yard, like the yard side, is where you fold, and you make it 2 inches shorter than the whole length of the Ankara so that you can turn it. Except you don't want to turn, then you can ignore this lining part. But if you want yours to be fully lined and you want to turn it down, you have to cut the lining, and the lining has to be 2 inches shorter than the Ankara. So after this, I cut out the front design that I marked out on only my Ankara. And for this front panel, I'm going to be cutting two linings for it, because one lining is that black one that is showing underneath. The second one is the one I'll be using to turn it. Please, if at this point you are still with me and you've not given this video a thumbs up, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you've not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. So the next is to start sewing, and to start sewing this, you have to stop stitch this Ankara on top of the black fabric first. And the first thing I did was to pin it down. I pinned it down and I took it to my pressing table, and I folded it, the Ankara, inward with like half inch or quarter inch all through, and I gave it a good press. You can see me folding it inside with like quarter inch, and then I gave it a very good press and I pinned it back. I'll take this to my sewing machine and stitch it down. You stitch it as close to the black as possible. So when I was done doing this, the next thing I did was to turn the neckline and turned it down. After turning it down, I turned the sides of the front panel as well. And now the front panel is set. I'll keep that aside. The next is to work on the back panel. So for the back panel, because I want it to be neatly sewn, I had to fix the zip in an inseam way where you will not be seeing the joining, the zip allowance and all of that. So the first I did was to fix the zip. I kept the lining aside. I placed my zip on my boo. I figured out how long I want the zip to be on top of the boo, and then I fixed the zip. Another trick is to fix zip, especially if you want it as close as possible, especially if you are using invisible zip like this, because I used invisible zip. Please use a zip foot. There's a zip foot for fixing zip. So this dress has a little slit of like 10 inches long at the back so that it can be easy for the person to move around. And for this slit, I deducted the allowance that I will use to turn it inside first, and then I measured the slit length, which is 10 inches. I stopped at that point. So I'll start stitching from where the zip stops to where the slit starts. The next is to change my foot, like I said, from my sewing foot to my zip foot, to make the fixing of my zip easier and as close as possible, which is what I would advise that you do whenever you have to fix a zip on whatever outfit you are making at all. So this is the zip when I was done fixing it. The next is to start turning. It's when you are done fixing your zip that you will turn the neckline. So you'll be turning the edge of the zip together with the neckline, so that when you flip the lining to the back, the edge of the zip is already concealed and is neat. And I turned the neckline with hemming gum. I turned the front neckline with hemming gum as well, so that when I press it, the lining can stick down on the actual fabric. So when you are done turning the neckline, the next is to turn the down. After turning it down, you go back to turning the zip side from the neckline down to the zip side. Then you turn from the upper part on the other side down to the full length as well. So the only place that will be opened for you to bring out your piece is just the shoulder line. In the case of the front as well, after turning it, I brought it out from the shoulder line. This back as well, you'll be bringing it out from the shoulder line. So when you're done doing this, this is what one side of your back panel that is turned will look like. So you repeat the same process to the other side. You can see that the zip allowance is already concealed, is inside for that side that is turned. So when I was done turning the other side, this is what the back panel of my dress is looking like. See how neat the zip side is, which is what I tried to achieve when I fixed the zip the inseam way. So the only place that will be opened on your bubu right now is the shoulder line for the front and the back. And I turned the shoulder line as well. I didn't just join it. So what you would do is bring the front and back together, right side facing right side. Then you will open up some inches on the side like this and flip it to the inside from there. When you face right side like this, you can pin it down first. After pinning it down, you put your hand in through that place that you've opened on the side, just as I'm doing. Then you bring it to the wrong side there so that you can join the front and the back shoulder line. So join it with like half inch, flip it back to the right side from that place that you've opened. Do the same thing to the other side, still from that place that you've opened. So when you are done flipping it to the right side, you will use hemming gum to gum down that place that you've opened. And after joining, please cut out the edge so that the pointy edge so that you can bring it out very very well. Like give that side a small notch. So when I was done doing all of this, I gave my boo boo a very good press. I pressed down the neckline for the front and the back. It's now time to start shaping. To shape on the hip line, I'll be dividing the hip by 4 and I'll be adding that 1.5 inch is allowance that I spoke about. You add it together with it. And for the armhole, for you to know how wide the armhole or the round sleeve will be, our actual armhole is 20, but instead of me measuring 10, I'm measuring 13, which is 26. No, it has to be free. So that side is 26 inches wide. So from that 26, you will stitch it down to the hip and then on the pencil part, like the straight lower part of the dress, I'm using the hip minus 4 inches divided by 4. That's what I marked on that part of the dress. So when you are done shaping one side, you flip your dress over to the other side, and on that other side you are going to be dividing your measurement by 2, no longer by 4, starting from the first place that you've shaped. After you've measured the armhole, the part where the sleeve will come out from, which in my case I used 26 rather, which on fold of 2 is 13. So you'll be measuring 13 as your dress is on fold like this. And from that point, you take it down to the hip line and then down to the straight part of the dress. It's that simple. Basically, that's it on how to cut and sew this stylish Ankara Bubu. The next is to start beading it. If you are interested in watching the tutorial on how I beaded the front of this dress, please click on the box on the right side of your screen, and at the same time you can also click on the box on the left side of your screen. It's very impactful sewing tutorial that is there as well. But the links to these tutorials will also be down in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. If at this point you are still here, don't forget to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. If you have any question, please ask me down in the comment section. As much as possible, you can help me share my tutorial amidst your friends and soulmates. You can't tell who this tutorial might be helpful to. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.